I'd like to welcome Pranov Rai from Alexa to talk to us about Skill Quality Coach. Pranov, so thank you so much for being here.
Thanks, Jeff. Very excited about this talk. I'm a principal product manager for Alexa Skills Kit. My primary focus in the team is to build tools that help skill developers improve the quality of their skills and basically delight Alexa customers through their skills.
That's perfect. So we've talked a little bit about Skill Quality Coach already, or at least mentioned it. Can you tell us more about Skill Quality Coach? Why did the team decide to launch it?
Yeah, so there were actually two reasons why we wanted to move ahead with the Skill Quality Coach. One of the biggest and the primary reason was that oftentimes developers used to reach out to us and ask us about what are those different design features that they should be including as part of their skill, and what is it that delights Alexa customers. So that was like one area that we identified, that there were a lot of developers out there who were hungry for guidance, hungry for information that would help them make their skills better. The second reason, which is more of an internal reason, was we wanted to understand what are the hidden gems in our catalog. What are those experiences that have not found thousands and millions of customers yet, but have the right kind of design features, have the right kind of customer engagement. And it's very important for us to identify these hidden gems and figure out a way to scale them, figure out a way to provide access to customers for such skills. So those were the primary two reasons, and helping developers was the primary one.
I love that. As I thought about the Skill Quality Coach, it's always been, for me, it's been a guidepost for me as a developer about things that I can do to improve my skill. I'd never considered the fact that you guys also use it as a way to identify great skills that may not have the traffic or the engagement that they deserve. That's a great point.
Yeah, exactly. So, and we've tried everything actually, Jeff. We looked at skill ratings. Oftentimes, skill ratings are not the right representation of what the quality of the skill is. It's a mixed bag, and it's also something of the past. So you might have addressed the comments that are there in the rating side, and they're no longer relevant anymore. So we looked at skill ratings, we looked at AI self-learning models to identify skills that have the fewer number of defects. But really what we wanted to find or work towards a solution was something that is scalable throughout the catalog. So it doesn't matter if your skill only has 100 customers or 200 customers. We wanted to give you folks the right kind of design recommendations, and also be able to give a scoring sort of to understand the quality of your skill at the current rate, and then track it over a period of time.
Well, so let's get into some of those details. I mean, we call it the Skill Quality Coach. What is quality?
It's a very vague term, I understand, and every person has a point of view on what really defines quality. And we don't say that we have the ultimate definition of quality. I think what we do, however, is that we have approached this problem from a data science standpoint. We looked at several hundred thousand skills that were successful, and worked backwards from those. These are highly successful skills that delight Alexa customers on a daily basis. Developers have done something right in building these skills because it drives repeated engagement. So what we wanted to really do was to work backwards, not just super expose our own definition of quality, but rather look at what are those skill design aspects that make these successful skills. And it soon became a very big data science problem in which we had over 100 design elements to choose from, and then figure out which are those handful of design elements that actually create the biggest impact on Alexa customers. So we approached it from a data science standpoint. We wanted to find out design elements that are good predictor of retention, that are good predictor of customer engagement, and then figure out which element fits into which category, and then create a very small set of handful of design elements that we can eventually select and then eventually recommend skill developers to implement those features. And once you implement those features, then the score should improve. Let's actually look at a video, Jeff, and that would really talk about like how we approach this from a data science standpoint.
Perfect.
At Amazon, we want all of our developers to be successful, especially our Alexa devs. Because when you succeed, we succeed, right? That's why we're giving you your very own skill quality coach to help you improve your skills, which ultimately increases customer engagement. Your skill quality coach is constantly learning from hundreds of thousands of Alexa skills to identify common attributes of successful skills. What really works and what doesn't. It's AI that can evaluate your skill in almost real time, analyzing skill design features, attributes, and customer experience signals to generate recommendations that also take your skill category, locale, and other critical details into account. The coach then gives your skill a score between 0 and 5, which is your skill quality score, or in short, SQS, and shares recommended insights to help you improve your SQS. Got it? Your score is based on several aspects of skill design and also incorporates customer feedback. Sound pretty exciting? It surely is. In our next video, we'll talk more about how the skill quality score is calculated and what it means to you. Until then, thanks for helping make Alexa more useful and creating delightful customer experiences. We're excited to see how your skill quality coach can help you improve.
I actually think that was a really good kind of description of how the pieces work. That was great.
Yeah, I mean, we had about, when we started, we had about over 130 different design features to choose from because those are the kind of variables that go into building a skill. It was very important to like really distill what are those handful of things that we want developers to do to begin with. And then everything else can be an add-on and something that evolves over a period of time.
So I'm just curious, as we think about all of this feedback, you said you've ended up with like 130 different kinds of things that you could have recommended. You've probably become very familiar with these as you've gone through it. Which one is one of your favorites?
I think so. I would classify all of these recommendations around 4 different pillars that we feel are very important. The first one is voice model accuracy. Like there's no denying, Jeff, that the skill should be able to do what it's supposed to do, what it promises the customers to do. And the centerpiece of it is really having a good speech recognition engine and also being able to do the right kind of natural language understanding. So voice model accuracy is one of the most important pillars that we have right now. The second big pillar is response richness. Alexa is not just a speaker now. It is a multimodal device, and there are so many different ways in which you can engage with your customers, and leveraging multimodal services is an important one. So richness in response is the second big pillar. The third big pillar is the health of your endpoint. And it is almost taken for granted that, your latency should be within some acceptable limits. Your endpoint should not crash if we send a request. So your skill endpoint health is an important one. And the fifth one and the fourth one is content richness. And this is where, we keep a track of how often do you update your skill, how often your content is fresh, like really looking at those aspects, and personalization is an important one there as well. Now, these are the 4 big pillars, and most of our recommendations actually fall in one of these pillars. I would say voice model accuracy is the most important one out of the 4. Just because, like if you are not able to understand your customers, it might be a great skill, it might have great content, but it's just that customers are not able to reach the content within the skill. And that's a shame. So
I think that's accurate. If a device can't respond in the way that a user expects it to, then it doesn't matter how good your content is. That definitely is first and foremost. That makes a lot of sense to me. All right. So as we think about all of the different aspects to these recommendations and how developers use it, what are the ways that this is important to them? Like what does a developer get as a result of listening to the coach and engaging?
Yeah, so I think there are multiple things. First is that the score that we calculate, which is the skill quality score, as also indicated in the video, it's composed of two parts. One is the design element, which is basically how well is your skill designed for success. And the second part is actually customer experience score. And the combination of two gives you skill quality score, which is a score between 0 and 5. So now there are multiple ways of interpreting the score. If your skill might have a great score, and what that really means is that you're not only having the right set of design elements, but also your customer experience, which is a significant portion that contributes to the making of skill quality score, is also pretty good. And there's something called a customer habituation score that we generate to measure the customer success. And customer habituation score is basically what it does is that it, relative to other skills that have a similar use case, how often is your skill being able to generate habituational patterns amongst Alexa customers? And really what we wanted to do, Jeff, is like, you might put all the design elements in, but if the content of the skill is not good, people won't come back. And we don't want such a situation to happen. So if a skill really has a very high SQS, and by high, I mean more than 3.5 or more than 4, then it is finding success on both fronts. Not only it has the best design features, it has an ability to re-engage with its existing customer set. And, the habituation score, the way we went about calculating it was that we want, it doesn't matter how big your customer base is. You could be catering to millions of customers, or you could be a skill that is catering to only 500 customers. What we look for is repeated engagement patterns that the customer, however small the base is, are often coming back to your skill and are really engaged and are actively engaged in using your skill. So now, coming back to your question, which is how can developers make sense of it and find this useful? It's about two fronts, like figuring out whether it is the design element which is missing in your skill, or is it that the customer experience is something that the skill is currently struggling with. And once you identify what really is the problem, that is when you can actually start to make improvements. And the recommendations also help in this regard. We have 25 different kinds of recommendations, the 4 pillars that I spoke about. There are 25 different kinds of recommendations that one can find on the dashboard, depending on which is relevant for the skill. Sure. And then that is like the first step towards improvement. Now, the second question is like, why would developers care about skill quality coach and skill quality score? And that one is an important one. Like we've been at Alexa Live, we announced a developer incentive program called the Skill Developer Accelerator Program, SDAP. And we are also figuring out right now, how do we integrate incentives with quality improvements? And it would be something that the developers would really care about, because they know that, improving skill quality is important in receiving some sort of incentives from Alexa. The other thing is, as we started at the start of the call, which is, it is very important for us to identify hidden gems in our catalog, and then working with the developer, figure out a path towards monetization success for the developer. And we look at it from a flywheel. There are 3 pillars to the flywheel. One is quality, second is traffic, third is monetization. And it all starts with quality. If you don't have a good quality experience, then you might get traffic but not be able to retain it. You might get traffic, but people won't pay it. So really is tying the three pillars of the flywheel together and really help developers in this journey.
I like that. There's a number of things that came out of that description, which, by the way, was fantastic. Thank you, Pranov. But as I think as a developer about what the skill quality coach means for me, right? Aside from the tips and the ideas and the recommendations that I'm going to receive, aside from the potential tie-in with my skill quality score to things like incentives, there's a couple of questions that emerge pretty quickly for me. And if you can give any kind of answer to these questions, it would be fantastic. The first one is after I make a change to my skill, so I've done something to improve my skill, how does the coach know? How often do I get reevaluated, I guess, is one of the questions that I have.
Yeah, so score is like any other metric on your analytics console. So we calculate the score every day. There are things that we are programmatically able to determine whether you have made the change or not. For example, like suppose, let's just pick an example around latency. So we know every day what your latency is. So it's very easy for us to calculate the score on a daily basis because we know what your latency is for each interaction almost. Yeah. Similarly, like if there are recommendations to add a multimodal experience to your skill, we know when you add it, when you submit skills for public, when you publish your skill, and when that new version of the skill goes out in production, that is when we know that the new version of the skill actually supports a multimodal experience. So that's all programmatic. So the score calculation is programmatic and it's done every day.
That everyday piece is interesting. That's not something I realized. That's good to know, though.
Yeah. And there are some recommendations that, will take time for us to actually take a note of. And like the 4 pillars that I spoke of, like one of the big pillars is around content and richness of your content. So you might see a recommendation around the richness of your content, and that some of these recommendations are actually done through manually evaluating your skill. Oh, wow. So there's a skill associate who evaluates your skill manually and then handpicks and hand curates some of these recommendations. And if you implement one of those recommendations, that might take a few weeks for us to actually recognize that, okay, you've implemented that one.
Yeah, you actually answered my second question. So I use a lot of external databases for most of the content inside my skills. And so I was trying to figure out, even programmatically, the skill isn't aware of the fact that there's now all of this extra data, new content in my database. How would it know? And so it sounds to me like these manual checks do that. Is there any mechanism for me as a developer to let the team know that, hey, I've made this change?
Yeah. So for every recommendation, there's like a mini upvote and downvote. And then when you click on an upvote, then you have like 3 different options. And one of the options is I've made the change. These are like small cues. We don't just change the score based on your upvote or downvote, but it's a cue for us to actually go back and relook at your skill and see if you've actually made certain changes that we wanted you to make. And that's also an opportunity for us to actually find new changes, find new recommendations for your skill, because you've worked through some of those.
Well, that's great. So I think this is a good transition into what does this experience look like in the dashboard? Yeah.
So it's in the analytics console, Ask Analytics console. So there's a dedicated page for skill quality coach. And when you go to that console page, that is where you would see your score and you would see the recommendations associated with it. There's actually a video, Jeff, if there's a quick demo video that we can probably look at.
All right.
Here is the skill quality coach, your constant companion to improve skill quality. By analyzing thousands of skills, we've identified key customer experience features that delight our customers and drive skill quality. So let's dive into the skill quality coach. On the Alexa Developer Analytics console, there's a new addition called Skill Quality Coach. It is split into two sections: skill quality score and recommended insights. The skill quality score is calculated based on your skill design and how customers react to your skill in the form of skill ratings and customer retention. You can see that for Jill's skill, her skill quality score has improved over last 7 days and her skill is doing really well with an SQS of 4.1. But how can she further improve her skill? The recommendations that help you improve your skill quality score are called insights. You can look at the top 4 insights and have the full list of insights available in the table below. Each recommendation is specific and curated based on your skill design. For example, for Jill's skill, we have recommendations to improve her skill responses with the adoption of multimodal, or make her skill more personalized with account linking, or gracefully handle utterances not meant for her skill using the Amazon fallback intent. Each recommendation has approximate effort estimation so that you can plan your improvements accordingly. Now, as you go through these insights, we want to learn from you which ones you liked and which ones you disagreed with. If you like an insight, please give us a reason for upward. And similarly, give us a reason for downward in case you disagree with. Here, Jill notices a recommendation to update her upsell message for skill subscription. It says that Jill's current upsell message is verbose and leads to customer drop-off. Jill finds it interesting and decides to upvote. Skill Quality Coach is now available in beta for eligible custom skills in ENUS.
Wow, that was a great look at what the Skill Quality Coach looks like, and you get a good illustration of exactly what's happening there on the screen. So, Pranav, I'd love to know, what does the roadmap for Skill Quality Coach look like? I know some people have already been using it, but what's to come?
Yeah, I think that's a great one, Jeff. We get a lot of feedback on Skill Quality Coach, and we read every word of it on Slack and every other place that we get our hands on. One of the key pieces of feedback that developers really want from us is more transparency. They want more transparency around how the score is calculated. We also spoke about different pillars that make skill quality score. Right. And developers really would want to know, what is my voice model score, for example, or what is my endpoint health score? What is my design score? What is my customer feedback score? And we completely want to be in that world where we would be able to share exactly the detailed breakdown of how we actually calculate skill quality score. And that's going to be our focus for the next few weeks, 2 months. And that's something that we are really excited about and want to share more with the developers. So that's something that developers should keep an eye out on. The other thing is launching it in more countries, more locales, as it's a science problem and every country has its own challenges. So that's something that we are currently working on, and hopefully we'll have SQC launched in other countries, other locales as well.
Wow, those are both bits of exciting news. I think one of the things that you always find, I'm a developer myself, is that we always want to know how the engine works, right? How can we take all the pieces apart? And so getting more transparency around how the score is calculated and how I'm doing in each of the individual categories, I think that'll go a long way in helping developers understand where they should apply their focus and the kinds of improvements they can make. That's great. But more countries, man. I am a big proponent, and you've been in meetings with me here inside Amazon. I'm always pushing for launch globally, and I know that's a hard problem to do, but it's great to hear that we're always moving towards that. Good news. The last question I wanted to ask you is around what I'll call success stories. Have you seen anything that kind of looks like a success story so far?
Yeah, that's an interesting one. Firstly, we get a lot of emails from developers saying, how can I get a 4.9 or how can I get a 5.0 on the score? So one thing we want to emphasize is that getting a score over 3 is a big deal. We don't have a lot of skills over 3 also. So if your skill is over 3, that's actually a very good thing. Having said that, there have been a lot of enthusiastic developers who have implemented almost everything we recommend. and that's gotten their score to the next level. So like, I mean, there've been like some of these hidden gems that I'd never known exist, like country radio, brainiac trivia. Like some of these skills like motivate me, are like something that I'd never discovered. And we also figure out a way, if at all possible, to be able to promote these skills across different channels and see how broader Alexa customers react. And that's another piece of feedback. So a lot of exciting stuff, a lot of early good indications from the developer community. And hopefully we'll have a lot more exciting things to share in terms of successes at Alexa Live this year.
Yeah, I can't wait. And in between Alexa Live and office hours and all the other places that we can share this kind of information with developers, I'd love to have you back on somewhere just so that we can have another conversation about where we are, in a few months. I think that'd be great.
Yeah, definitely.
All right. Well, Pranov, I want to thank you so much for being here. This is a really great explanation of how Skill Quality Coach works and all the things that we should know to get started using it. So I really do appreciate your time here, and thanks for spending it with us.
Yeah, thanks a lot, Jeff.
All right, before I go, I did want to let you know, for all of you that are still watching, that in the resources widget on the right of your screen, you'll find a link to our Skill Quality Coach landing page. So if you want to check it out and learn all the other information that there may be to know about this, that's the place to go. And please don't forget to fill out the survey. We are constantly trying to improve our tech talks, and we really value your feedback. This is an opportunity to help shape what the future of our content is going to look like. So take the time, please fill out the survey. With that, that is the end of our Tech Talk for today. My name is Jeff Blankenburg. Thank you all for being here, and have a great day.